Hi everyone, my name is Patrick Akio, and if you're interested in giving effective presentations that people will remember, employee branding, and how organizations can help and facilitate with that, then this episode is for you. Joining me today is Sabina Wojciechak. She helps people create their own future when it comes to their career, and she loves yoga. I'll put all her socials in the description below. Check her out, and with that being said, enjoy the episode.
Beyond coding.
Yumi discussed beforehand, because I do an intro chat with everyone, more so how the importance of visibility or even employee branding, because those kind of are intertwined, is gaining more importance when it comes to people in an organization, right? When it comes to actual personal fulfillment. And in a tech company, you would more so see that in people doing more so out of their own like day-to-day thing and working on their employee branding, posting more, being more visible on Twitter, on LinkedIn, going more to meetups and doing more conferences. Why has that shift all of a sudden? Because I feel like it kind of was not overnight, but kind of was. It's more and more being important within an organization. It's gaining more traction. And even organizations are getting or giving more attention to that. Why do you think that happened?
Okay, so there were always people in companies who were very visible.
Yeah.
So because they were extroverts and they were good networkers and know where they should promote themselves for being seen in the company and then being promoted in the next round, something like this.
Yeah.
But we have, due to diversity, we have also a lot of introverts in companies now. And introverts are just another kind of personality.
Yeah.
But they are also very good performers. They now have the chance via social media or blogs to write down content, getting visibility there without being the one, hey, I'm here, so look at me in those meetings.
Yeah.
And I think this is a good way. We have a new way how people can be visible. And also the conference thing is we have people in companies, they are maybe not those people in meetings which are like, I'm the first one who wants to say anything, but they are good in presenting.
Yeah.
And they can use this different ways. And I think this is an important thing. We have different, due to social media, the whole internet stuff, writing blogs, we have a lot more ways how to be visible. And yeah, time's getting faster and faster and faster. So my question is always, how much time does a manager spend on selecting someone to be promoted?
Yeah.
And having a good network is a good thing for promotion. And with more visibility, your network will grow.
Yeah.
No matter which kind of visibility you have. Is this the visibility because I'm performing in meetings, or is it the visibility because I'm writing blogs for the company, or I'm on social media, or I have a very good GitHub, something like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also when you, at one point, decide to leave a company, it's also good to be visible.
Yeah, you take that with you.
Yeah. And I see another very big advantage what some companies do underestimate, because when you are for Xebia on a conference, you are not only there because of yourself and you're not promoting yourself.
Yeah.
You're also promoting your company. And this is much better than all the advertisements because it gives personality.
Yeah.
And this is what people like. They want to see the people who are in the company. And so I think, yeah, it's good for each employee, but also for the company, for the outside.
I like that. It's interesting that you say people like to have a face like on a brand or in a company.
Yeah.
Because I've talked to a lot of startup people and they were like, I pick up the phone, the people know me, right? Because a startup is usually still small enough for them to have a face or a voice behind it. And the person that does that usually is the founder. But I've never looked at it that a company can have multiple faces or multiple fronts in front of that. If you do go to a conference, you are kind of the face of that company, or people will recognize the company or build that relationship between you two. And I've never realized that it can have multiple faces or multiple people standing in front of that, which is really nice.
Yeah. So you will never have the same audience anyway. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
When
so I have recently been to a conference and there was a speaker of a very well-known worldwide tech leader company.
Mhm.
So, and this guy gave a presentation and it was so bad,
Really?
really. So, and you can imagine 2 weeks later,
Yeah.
no one will remember his name,
Exactly.
but they will remember the company
Yeah. In a bad way.
in the bad way.
That's a shame. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and you have the same. If it's a very good talk, then they will also remember the person.
Yeah.
But also the company.
Yeah. I mean, I know you do a lot with conferences as well as kind of speaker coaching sessions. If you analyze that session, what was it? Was it like, I mean, it's hard to say it's someone authenticity or personality, or was it more the presentation style, or was it even like the preparedness, or
Yeah. In this case, it was the preparedness.
yeah. So they came and did they look flustered on stage? That like what
Things
did
like,
you see?
oh, I think I have to rework this slide.
Yeah.
Something like this. Yeah. So I say, okay.
Yeah, seems rushed.
This is your presentation. You should probably know what's coming up next.
Yeah.
So, let's have a look. What's next? So this is not the way how it should work.
Exactly. That feels more like a freestyle kind of proof of concept version.
Yeah. It's like I'm just another number. This conference is just a number, another number on the list, and the audience is taking time to be there and sitting there. They are spending time on listening to him, and I think we need to be respectful with this.
I agree. Yeah. Have you seen that happening often?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't expect that to happen often.
I have seen that often.
Okay. Is it because I'm going to look at myself first. I like to have a lot of stuff prepared, but then also to some degree allow myself to kind of freestyle the things I say. So I prepare kind of my structure in and of its own. I'm still playing around with how much is too much kind of preparation. And then the things I'm saying, they might be out of order, obviously still in accordance with my slides, or I might even skip some things depending on how much I have on my slides here and there. And if I just roll with it, the audience won't matter because still my main storyline would be intact in that way.
Yeah.
If I do that well enough, it's not going to seem like I'm flustered and I'm going to be prepared enough for the story to still make sense. And I like that as my preference. I know other people like to be prepared to the T, which also then has its own trade-offs. But do you think it's due to do with a certain amount of style, or is it really just unpreparedness because they want to fill a quota when it comes to standing on stage and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think it's really unpreparedness. So we always have to have in mind there are two perspectives on the presentation.
Mm.
The one is the audience.
Yeah.
They just see and hear what you are delivering. The other one is you because you know what you intended to present.
Yeah.
And then sometimes when you say something different than you prepared for, then it feels like, oh my God, I'm leaving my path. but it still makes sense to the audience because they can't look inside your head.
Yeah.
So that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. And that this is a sign that you are prepared well enough because you know what you have to tell, you know your storyline, and you know where you want to go.
Mm.
But just coming in and giving the audience the impression that you are looking now at your slides for the first time after half a year or something like this.
Yeah, that's
it's
rough.
not. It's like being in a meeting and people come, oh, I don't know what are we talking about?
What are we here for? Yeah.
So this is a waste of time for the people.
Exactly.
And it's absolutely disrespectful.
Yeah, I agree.
So, and I think when people come to a conference, they leave their desk and all of them have loads of work there.
Yeah.
And they come there because they are hoping that they will learn new stuff from you, get new inspiration or whatever. And then they are sitting in a presentation and someone says, oh, yeah, what? Yeah, this is the topic we want to talk about. Oh, I think I need to change the slides. I don't know why it's not in shape. So
sloppy. Yeah, it's a real shame.
Yeah.
And that seems like an easy fix as well, right? Being prepared enough. Is that something that people struggle with, or?
Yeah, sometimes I think people take it too easy.
Mm.
I think, oh, it's not a big deal. I just step on stage and I will do it.
Yeah.
But we are not doing a presentation for our own. We are doing it always for the audience.
Yeah.
So we need to think about what's helpful for the audience. what is the storyline I want to deliver?
Mm.
What are the key messages I want to deliver? So I need to spend a lot of thoughts on this. And then I need to think, how can I explain it in a way that they can understand it?
Yeah.
Because in this case, I'm the expert. I've spent so much time on these ideas, and in my head, it's very clear.
Yeah.
But it's not the same in the other people's head.
Yeah.
And a lot of people tend to deliver as much as possible.
Okay.
But are the brains of the audience able
Yeah, they're
to
not
get
gonna-
all these information? So
Exactly.
what is the most important information I want to deliver?
Yeah.
And this is a thing a lot of people are really struggling with. What is my main message?
Yeah, I can imagine that's really hard, right? Because if you've been doing this for years and you really know this topic that you're presenting, it's really hard to step back and go into your own shoes and be like, okay, what was my first introduction to this topic? Like, what were the bottlenecks, or what would I have wanted to see presented on stage, and kind of fill the shoes of your audience in a way?
Mm.
To step out of that, I think is very hard to do that alone. Is that why people like do a lot of like feedback sessions and do a lot of iterations on their material?
Yeah.
I would assume so, right?
Yeah. I think this is a really good thing to have a sparring partner,
Mm.
going through the slides, finding out where we have some gaps between the one slide and the next slide. So what is the main idea? Is this important for your story, or can we just leave it out because it's much too much information, all those things?
Yeah.
And to understand that most presentations are just there for inspire people, giving them an idea, and not to teach them how to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you have a half an hour presentation, you can't fully teach someone that they get out and are experts for that.
Yeah, it's not
They,
enough.
they just need to be inspired to say, okay, I will dive deeper into it later.
Yeah. I
And
like
this is
that.
what you need to do on stage. So you are just trying to inspire people. And this is a completely different approach than I want to deliver everything.
Exactly. Yeah. If that realization is there, then I think you're gonna way more prepare in a different way. Because if the value is inspiration, then your storyline is also gonna make sense in there. How important is the storyline? Because I love when a story starts, or a presentation starts with a story, and then somehow throughout our journey they tie it back to the beginning. I think that's beautiful. But I've tried to do it, and that's really hard. How important is a story within kind of a technical presentation in that way?
It's not only beautiful, it's the best way
Mm.
to make it stick.
Okay.
So people love stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
and
get
this is
that.
and this is what they remember. They love stories, they love great visuals.
Mm.
And our brains are made for this.
Yeah.
Stories have always been the way how we have delivered ideas, how we have delivered rules. Because this is what people can remember.
Yeah.
So we do the best when we try to create a story. We can also do with technical stuff. We can create stories.
Yeah.
Use cases. How customer. What is the problem customer want to solve, or something like this, and it also helps to get everyone on the same page.
Yeah.
To understand what is my perspective. What is the perspective we all are looking from on this problem?
Interesting, because I've seen a lot of slides with a lot of text first and foremost, and then almost no images. And I'm just like, man, is the person is kind of saying the same things as on the slides, and then am I reading the slides, or am I listening,
Yeah.
or do I just zone out? Because that's also always an option. On the other hand, I've also seen kind of a new trend, and this is, I don't know if it's doing it too much, but I still like it, where it's as little text as possible, and it's a lot of imagery, sometimes even no text. And I'm just like, okay, I see an image, I have something to relate to, and now I really need to listen what they're saying, because that still relates to their story.
Mhm.
And that, for me as an audience, keeps me more engaged. Do you think that's kind of a better way that it's trending, more with imagery and more with storytelling in that way?
It's not only trending, it's also proven by neuroscience.
Mm.
So our brains can deal with much better with visuals and stories than just having a lot of numbers and facts written down.
Yeah.
So the other thing is that when you have a lot of text on your slides,
Mm.
you force people to multitask.
Yeah.
To read and listen. And most of us can't do both.
No.
Yeah. And then, what's the thing? What should I do? Should I read? Should I listen? But when I go to a conference and I have speakers live on stage, I should listen.
Right? Yeah.
Otherwise, if I'm reading, I don't need to go to the conference.
I just read a book.
So, if we as a speaker create our slides with lots of text, then we take away the big advantage from ourselves.
Yeah.
That people are there to listen to us and looking at us because we have so much text there.
Yeah, they
It's
just send
so
them the slides.
boring. It's so boring, yeah?
Yeah.
And sometimes with companies, I have I don't know, only have the impression it's what they tell me.
Mm.
They say, okay, yeah, we use the slides to send them out to customers later. I say, these are two different use cases.
Yeah.
Use case number 1 is presenting on stage. Use case number 2 is sending out to customers.
Yeah.
So you have to have 2 sets of slides.
I like that.
The one is for the customers with text, self-explaining. The other one is for inspiring customers or
Yeah.
audience.
I like that a lot. Don't try to cut corners on that and make one kind of fits all size. Tailor to whatever your use case is.
This is what coders always tell. We have different use cases, so we need to make it fit to this use case. And it's exactly the same with presentations.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So, and when it comes to storytelling, storytelling is not only important giving a presentation on stage, it's also important in a company itself.
Yeah.
If I want to promote an idea, I can just say, okay, this is my idea, X, Y, Z.
Mhm.
Or I can say, imagine, and start to tell what I want to create, what is the idea and how it looks like later.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure most people will more listen to the story than
Yeah.
just say, this is my idea.
Yeah, not only listen to that, but they're going to visualize it, right?
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
going to stick with them.
Yeah.
Even though they might disagree, they'll probably remember that.
Yeah.
That's at least what I've seen.
So, and I'm using a lot of visuals in my presentations as well. You have seen my
I've seen
presentation.
it. I love them.
And I have so often the situation that people 2 years later come to me and say, Sabine, in your presentation XYZ, I had this image, and whenever I have this situation in my daily work, I remember this image, and then I can remember your advice.
That's so cool. That's
Okay.
amazing.
I even don't know which image I had in this presentation, but they had it in their mind. And
Yeah.
this is the thing we need to go for when we are on stage.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, you do a lot with speaker coaching sessions for organizations and
Mhm.
as well as for individuals. What is kind of the common line that you've seen that people struggle with? Is it more so storytelling? Is it being comfortable on stage? Is it, I don't think it's the actual material. What is it that you've seen as kind of a trend?
So one thing is the storytelling,
Mm.
especially if I'm working with technical people.
Yeah.
How should I create a story out of this? This is the one thing, but I think this is easy when we start to think about real use cases. How
Yeah.
can we integrate this use case into the whole session? And then it's really easy to find out what is necessary to understand, what's not necessary. The harder one is being comfortable on stage. And a lot of people have in mind that they are on stage and they will forget everything.
Yeah. The worst case.
Worst case scenario.
Yeah.
To be honest, since 2013, I'm now on conferences and I have never ever seen this.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is just something we have in our head as worst case scenario. And I say, just forget it.
Mm.
I've never ever seen this. And if it happens, you can't do anything against it.
Exactly. You just
So-
have to deal with it.
Yeah, so, and a lot of people are afraid of being on stage, what can happen, and that they will not exactly say what they plan to say, and all those things, yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, that was one of the hardest parts for me being comfortable standing on stage. And the podcast has helped me kind of bridge that gap because I would never see myself standing on stage if we're talking about 5 years ago.
Mhm.
But because I've kind of been more comfortable, like voicing my opinions or just being comfortable with my voice, I think standing on stage has been easier for me to do so. But not everyone is going to start a podcast to kind of incrementally grow towards that. I think still you need to be comfortable in some sort of form of uncomfortableness. And grow in there. And the first time is not going to be as good as the 10th time, for example. But you have to allow yourself for some kind of growth in there if this is actually what you want to do.
Yeah, I think the problem is that we all want to be somehow perfect.
Yeah, from
Yeah.
the get-go. That's ideal.
And I think no one else loves someone who's perfect on stage.
Yeah.
They want to see a human being on stage. And
Exactly.
human beings are not perfect. And sometimes we say something wrong.
Yeah.
Who cares? Yeah, who cares? Most of the people in the audience see you as a brave person.
Yeah.
A brave person who is keen enough to be on stage, presenting the knowledge on stage, and they appreciate you for that.
Yeah.
It's only you who is like, oh, am I good enough?
Yeah. I mean, we're the biggest critics of our own, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
That's a
And
hard thing.
when we get nervous, it's like stomachs and butterflies on our stomachs or something like this.
Yeah.
But this is just inside of us. No one knows this. No
Mm.
one sees this. And this is also what we have to understand, that if we are nervous, it's most of the time not visible for other people.
Yeah.
So it's okay to be nervous. And people sometimes start to fight nervousness.
Yeah.
But that does not make sense because we can't do it. Being nervous is a sign of chemicals in your bodies and you want to do your best and all those things. Just accept it and don't waste energy on fighting these nervousness.
I
Use
like
this
that.
energy for your presentation.
I like that. Just being, I mean, just accepting it, right? Because it's a natural response. It is going to happen.
Yeah.
Realizing that it will happen and kind of feeling how it happens is fine. And then just moving on and dealing with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I have done a lot of sports competition in my young years.
Mm.
And I have learned when I was nervous before the competition,
Yeah.
it always was good.
Okay.
And when I wasn't nervous, I could have stayed at home.
Okay.
So for me, it's the sign of being in it
Yeah.
and willing to do the best, or just saying, okay, doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
And I promise myself, when I ever get on stage and I'm not nervous anymore, time to leave.
Something's wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, something's wrong. I like that you said that people don't want to see like an image of perfection on stage, right? They want to see human. But for me, still, I want to do more with speaking and conferences this year. That's one of my year goals. But I have a hard time figuring out my topic and my conference style even. It's something I'm experimenting with, as well as storytelling. But what I never want to lose is kind of my own authenticity, because I still want to be myself on stage, right? If I'm not myself on stage, I just think it's going to be exhausting trying to be someone that I'm not. But still, I want to look at people to inspire me. So how do you balance then kind of finding inspiration and still being yourself and being comfortable with what you're doing? Because I think if you would coach a lot of people, they might just adopt whatever you're doing. Are they then losing themselves authenticity wise?
Yeah, this is a fear a lot of people have. So
Yeah.
when I go into speaker coaching, maybe it's not my presentation anymore. But this is the job of the coach to not do this.
Mm.
It should be the presentation of the other person. And, you know, coaching is always about feedback, and feedback is about making a decision if I want to adopt it or not.
Yeah.
So I'm just putting a mirror in front of the people and saying, okay, this is what I understood.
Yeah.
And this is how I feel about it. Is this what you really want to do?
Mm.
Yes, this is okay. It's your presentation.
Yeah.
So I will never ever say you can't do this. I'm just giving ideas. I'm just giving some kind of inspiration, and people have to work out their own stuff.
Yeah.
And this is the feedback I often get at the end. They say, it was cool because it's still my talk. It's still my presentation, but
Yeah.
much better than before. Yeah,
Exactly.
so- and then people say, yeah, I thought that at the end it's your presentation. So I will never ever say to people, you have to put a visual in and take this image or something like this, because it's not my presentation.
Exactly.
And they need to feel good with it.
Yeah.
And I always say, you need to be your own brand on stage. This is what you need to create. This is some kind of experimentation. So how should my own brand look like?
Yeah.
This is a thing you can do for yourself and say, okay, how should people see me?
Yeah.
What should they remember in a year?
Mm.
So, and then you can say, okay, if this is what they should remember, what is the action I need to take out of it?
Exactly. Yeah.
So-
You look at it from a point of value, right? And it can be remembering you in some sort of way. That can be the value that you contribute. And then looking back at how you can achieve that. That's very different from how I would think, because I more so look at, maybe because it's my lack of experience, but I more so look at how I'm going to do things or what I'm going to do. And then the outcome is kind of, it could be a byproduct, but turning it around and looking at your outcomes and then tailor fitting whatever you're doing, I think that might be a better approach.
Yeah, then you are about working with the vision.
Yeah.
The vision of you as a speaker, how people should perceive you, and then you can find out what do I need to do for this.
Exactly. Yeah. We came kind of to this topic when it came to visibility in organizations. And we started off with, I mean, I see the benefit of being more visible, right? When it comes to just your manager knowing what you're doing, or even your organization and their managers, when it comes to promoting you or growing within that organization, growing within your career. Do you think everyone kind of needs to think about their own visibility? Like, is that a thing that every employee could benefit from? Because I feel like if I'm going to say this into a group, a lot of people are not going to be comfortable with being more visible or being more active. They just want to do their job, and that's that.
If this is your goal, then it's fine.
Yeah.
So we are different and we all have different goals, and we need to find out what is my personal goal.
Yeah.
And what do I need to do for it? It's the same question again. So where do I want to be in 5 years? And what do I need to do for this?
Mm.
What is the way I can go?
Exactly. Yeah. As this kind of mindset, has it already, because I've seen your presentation, you were amazing at it. Is that something you've kind of gained throughout your professional career, or how did you get kind of, first of all, this knowledge and the other hand, also the skills to back that up?
Yeah. So I have always loved to give presentations.
Yeah.
And when I think back to my school times, I also used a lot of visuals there because I personally like seeing images, having an idea with this image, and that's great. And then in 2013, I started to interest myself for conferences and apply for conferences. It was a very funny situation. Someone asked me to do communication workshops for software developers.
Yeah.
And I said, are you kidding me? Software developers, they don't want to communicate.
Exactly.
So, but yeah, it was a customer, and I said, okay, I have to work with this. And I tried to find out if there are already workshops for communication for software developers, and I didn't find anything. But I came across Agile and DevOps, and I tried to find out what is DevOps and all the things, and I found out that a lot of DevOps is culture and communication and collaboration.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, my skills teaching people how to communicate and work better together would be a great add-on. And via Twitter, I reached out for Patrick Debois.
Okay.
So, and I asked Patrick, Patrick, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Should I apply for a DevOps Days conference?
Mm.
And he said, we love soft skills, please apply.
Okay. Good stuff.
So, and this was my first time on a conference, on the tech conference, DevOps Days Ljubljana.
Yeah.
And yeah, this started the way as I say, okay, I want to be on conferences. It's good for visibility. It's good for my job and all those things. Yeah. And I think people need to understand what they want to reach.
Yeah.
That's the goal. And then need to find out how can I do it. And when I started on conference, it was my first conference in English.
Mm.
It was my first conference on a tech conference, or my first presentation on a tech conference. So it was like, I have no idea what they are expecting.
Yeah.
And I got a lot of feedback. I looked at my own videos and said, okay, I like this, I don't like this. And I try to adapt things I've seen on other presentations. I always ask my husband, he's my sparring partner when I'm preparing my presentations. I try to explain my storyline, the overall idea. I show him my slides and all those things. And he's giving very honest feedback, and that's helpful for me.
Awesome.
And I think this is important that we have someone who is honest
Yeah.
and gives feedback and you trust. Yeah. So you feel good with when this person is giving you that feedback, and then you can improve the way you are doing it.
I agree. Yeah. And there's
So,
a difference. There's a difference between giving feedback and giving advice, right? Because advice could be like, oh, I would do this, or this is what I would have done, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And feedback is this is kind of how it comes across to me.
Yeah.
And that could be
Yeah.
an opinion, that could
Yeah.
be subjective.
and I think you are never ready with it.
Mm.
With every presentation, you get new feedback.
Yeah.
And then you can make a decision, okay, do I want to do this or that? Or you are at a conference and you see something different, say, hi, that looks good.
Yeah.
And say, maybe this is a good thing for me. And then you need to try to find out if it's good for you. And you do it on stage. And then you say, doesn't feel good. It's not good.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't do this again. Yeah. Like you said, experimentation.
Yeah. What point of feedback? Because I'm looking at this from my lens of being a podcast host. And one of the feedback points I got early on was there was a specific word that I always used to say when someone else was talking. I was like, yeah, I'm never going to do that again. So I really consciously worked on kind of removing that. And still I get feedback. And sometimes I'm like, okay, that's good feedback. And sometimes I'm like, okay, but this is my vision for the show. So that's not something I want to compromise on. That's not going to change.
Yeah.
Has there been like, what feedback has always kind of stuck with you as kind of something you've adopted or something you chose to not accommodate for?
So I can remember one of my first conferences. I had already a lot of colors on my slides, and then someone came to me, you can't use so much colors on your slides. That's not good. You need to have a style guide. And I was thinking, okay.
Okay. My goodness.
I'm still using a lot of colors. But I have some kind of style guide, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you did kind of find a compromise in there.
Yeah,
That's cool.
Yeah, I think this is the hardest thing that people you have never seen before come to you and give you some kind of feedback.
Yeah.
And you say, you have no idea who I am, so why are you telling me I'm using too much colors? Just because other people have just black and white on the slides.
Yeah.
So I want to make it different here. And I think this is important. That's important that you have the vision of how you want to be perceived.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it makes you crazy when people come up such things.
Exactly.
And it's important to understand that if you are doing it in a different way,
Mm.
there will be people who come and say, I don't like it.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's different. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. But also for me, like it's hard balancing feedback and seeing what you agree with and still having like kind of upholding your own vision. Because the fact that people are giving feedback, to me, I always think that's the people that care, right? If they voice their opinion in a way that they want to improve the show because they like the show, they see the value, they want to improve whatever it is. It doesn't have to be a show, could be a presentation, right? For you to take with you and for them to enjoy then later. Those people usually speak up, but sometimes it can also, I mean, if we're talking about negativity, it can also be a vocal kind of negative part or a more vocal negative part, while a silent like majority agrees with what you've done and has enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to find the balance in there for me.
Yeah, but we can't deliver in a way that we are everybody's darling.
Yeah,
So-
good point.
And this is why I always, again, we need to have our own strong vision for what we want to deliver.
Yeah.
This is the only thing which can help you to navigate with all these feedback and try to find out, okay, this is a point I want to think about. And this is a point, okay, it's okay for that this person gave me that feedback and I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
But it's my style.
Yeah, I agree with that. You don't have to compromise on everything. As kind of a final thought, I still was wondering, because we started off again with kind of visibility in organizations, but also that's going to require extra effort, right? And it can be in work time. Some organizations are allowing for people to work on kind of their personal branding during office hours, but still you're in a team. And if you want to be dedicated within that team, you have to give that team and kind of the operation sense of things, the thing that you're working on as a team, kind of undivided attention in a way. If everyone within that team also starts then working on kind of personal branding and being visible within the organization, is it going to take away from the thing that the team is doing? And how is it going to impact the organization then? Have you kind of seen how that contributes within an organization?
So then we are talking about team goals.
Yeah.
So setting team goals, how can we achieve that? How does maybe being visible on conferences help us with this goal, or how does it have an impact? How can we balance it?
Yeah.
So I think it's again about the ego, being visible, but working on a team needs also to be to have the ability to leave my ego out and say, okay, this is what we want to achieve as a team.
Yeah.
But I also want to go on conference. How can we do it together?
Yeah.
What do we need to do? So it's not a decision of your own when you are working on a team. The team needs to be okay with that. And the team needs to balance it. If it's too much, it's too much. The team can't achieve the goals.
Yeah.
So if we have team goals, they are the most important part. And we need to figure out how we can maybe integrate our personal ideas with it. When we have one-on-ones with our leader or manager, we can say, hey, I want to go more on conferences. But this would have this impact on our team.
Yeah.
How can we deal with that?
Yeah.
So I think to talk about it is a very important thing.
I like that.
So to talk about it before we have made a decision.
Exactly. Yeah. Kind of kickstarting that conversation, because I always look at it from an organizational sense, where if the organization's okay with you doing it, then it becomes hard in kind of balancing your team tasks if you don't open up that conversation. But I like that you attribute that the conversation needs to happen within the team, and then there needs to be a balance, right? Because if there's a tip of the scale, either you're not going to be pleased with whatever you're doing because you don't get kind of that undivided attention for your personal branding, or the team is going to suffer because then they kind of lose you because you go off on your own trail, work on your own visibility in that sense.
Yeah, that's again about transparency, right?
Yeah.
So we need transparent goals of the team. We need transparent capacities. How much capacity do we really have?
Yeah.
But we also need to have transparency in our personal goals, which affect our teamwork.
Yeah.
So having someone who says, oh, yes, I'm 100% in the team, but besides working on personal goals, which are which are making the team suffer from it, it's not transparent.
Yeah, I agree.
So, and I think transparency in this thing about goals, team goals, company goals, personal goals is very, very important. Only then we have the chance to find a way how we can make it work.
Yeah, and that makes complete sense. From an organization that, or maybe even a manager that's listening to this and kind of can see the value for personal branding or personal branding for their employees in combination with the organization, but they don't kind of have a way of working yet to figure out how to allocate time for that or how to self-manage for that. What would you advise for an organization that is kind of shifting towards that to allow more kind of attention on personal branding for their employees? What do they need to accommodate for as an organization?
I think, first of all, they need to make it clear that they are really willing to give this freedom for that.
Yeah.
And this room for that. And maybe finding those people, identifying those people who are willing to be the first ones to do this, and working out with them, what are the next steps? What do you want to do? What are our expectations?
Yeah.
And what can we together do to make it work? So I would always start to identify people who say, hey, yeah, that's a good idea. I want to try it.
Yeah.
We can't start with everybody. We need to find out who is really willing to do this.
Yeah.
And to have some good examples and to have success and all the things for other people to say, yeah, that's a good way. And then also to talk about what are the benefits we all have from it. It's not only about the visibility of one person. It's also about being able to promote ideas, to initiate change within the company. When you are on stage and you are preparing to give an idea to the audience, to inspire people, all the skills can be used within the company for creating change.
Yeah.
So it's not only about being on stage. So this is what sometimes managers also have to understand, that it's not about someone who wants to be on stage and wants to be a VIP or something like this. This person learns so much, which can be used in customer meetings, which can be used in internal meetings, which can be used for creating change. So it's important from a company's perspective to think about it. And so we need to understand, what do people need to do this and what can we give? But we also need to talk about our expectations.
Yeah.
So the most common problem is that we haven't met expectations. But if we don't know the expectations,
It's hard.
how should we do it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I like that. I mean, it has several benefits, right? Not just from a fulfillment point of view, because if someone really wants to do that, they're going to be happier having done that, but also from a personal sense of growth. And
Yeah.
personal growth, I think, always translates to whatever they do professionally, right? They're going to be better because of that.
I have so many coaches, they say, okay, now we have worked on the presentation, but next time I will use this in the customer presentation.
Yeah.
It's the same. I'm not on stage, but it's the same. I can use it there as well.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, so-
amazing.
And so this is exactly the benefit you have out of it.
I've loved this conversation so far, Sabina, when it comes to kind of personal branding, visibility, and how you would do that then standing on stage in conferences. What do you think of, and how can you contribute and add value, even kind of thinking with a goal in mind? Is there anything you would still like to share with our audience before we leave off?
Just try it.
Just try it. Yeah, that's what I say as well. If you have an inkling, just try it. But even without an inkling, would you say just try it?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Just to experience.
Yes.
That's awesome.
And enjoy it.
I
When-
think that's the most important part.
When do we have so many people sitting there and just listening to us? Most
It's-
of the time, we have to fight for only 1 minute.
I like that. I've never looked at it like that. And I think it's going to be scary for people, even if they've never thought of it, to just try it. But it is an experience, right? You take that with you, and it might be addicting as well. You might want to do more of it.
Maybe.
maybe. We're going to round it off there. I'll put all Sabina's links to her socials in the description below. And with that being said, thank you for listening. We'll see you on the next one.